So requirements 2C, emergency preparedness, and then communication requirements 6, I think. 10 categories: home kitchen fire, garage fire, explosion in the house, automobile crash, food poisoning, violence in a public place, vehicle trapped in the desert, tornado or hurricane, water accident, vehicle stalled in the winter, which is quite common here. So, broken down into 5 categories: prevent, mitigation, protection, response, recovery. What can you do to prevent it? How well can you prevent it? What do you do in case it happens? First actions, and then what to do after it happens. How can you prevent it further, basically. Starting off, we're going to do home kitchen fires. So, like, you're cooking butters or fats, and then you end up pouring some water in there, causing a grease fire. How can we prevent that? We can do this by maintaining our kitchen equipment, making sure we don't have, like, a gas leak somewhere or, well, anything faulty. And then we can also do this by actually properly training to make sure no one does anything stupid like pouring water mixing with in a fryer or mixing with grease. And then we can also prevent this. We can reduce or mitigate this by doing things like pouring baking soda on top to get rid of the fires. And when this happens, we want to keep our oils and waters away from each other and make sure not to use higher heats. Make sure to also turn off the flames and use baking powder or anything non-reactive other than water or
Are you
liquid.
supposed to be telling the person as to what category of the 5 you're responding to? Because I'm lost.
No.
That's a fail on communication.
This is e-prep.
Oh, okay. E-prep. Sorry.
And what to do after this stuff happens is we can turn off the heat and then call a repairman or dad, because he seems to know how to do everything. In case of garage fires, make sure your dry goods and oils are away from open flames. So I think the only things that can cause possibly an open flame in our house is either the saw blades or the sander, basically. But we don't keep anything dry near there. To reduce in case this happens, we also keep a fire extinguisher near us and always make sure it's up to date, and everyone in the house should know how to use it, except for Kate, because Kate can't use it. When this kind of stuff happens, you want to keep your distance and close off the source of flames. So make sure nothing dry is near it. Don't toss leaves or any wool in there, or try to put it out with any towels. In response when something like this happens, cut off the source or put out the fire. And what you do after this kind of happens is make sure to keep sources away. So, like, even if the fire is out, don't put your dry towels or any wood, or in our case, I think books, near us. You understand?
Hmm?
In the case for when a explosion in the house happens, or how to prevent it, we check for gas leaks. Make sure we're not.
I smell gas.
Make sure we don't have any gas leaking, and if we do, make sure you call a repairman, which we should have the number in the house. I think it's actually on the bulletin board if you ever look at it.
Okay.
When something like this happens, you want to turn the gas off. Manage igniters and make sure they're not being used. Check for shock, and as well in individuals. Make sure you get them out of the house first, though, because you don't want to be in a house when an explosion happens. And then check on others.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of an automobile crash, to prevent these, we do things like proper training. So, like, making sure you have your driver's license, making sure your car is in check, and also making sure, like, you have knowledge on how to prevent an automobile crash, which is what this is for. So, like, steering towards the the end of the lanes in case of emergency, like so basically turning to your farthest right lane if it's clear and you're able to, or well, if it's safe and you're able to. We can also reduce the amount of injuries by making sure that, well, people are actually buckled up instead of unbuckled driving. That, well, our brakes are working and that we're actually knowledgeable to pull off to the side if it's safe. We can also make sure that people are sober and alert and that no one's going to start causing distractions in the car while someone's driving, because that's the last thing we want, especially if your driver is extremely young. In response to, so when something like this happens, we want to pull off the side, make sure everyone's okay, no one's hurt, no one's somehow bleeding from the hip or gushing blood out of their leg. If they do, call 911. And in order to recover from these things, you want to make sure to seek help, either a tow truck or a 911 for medical help, and then you want to get your car towed to the nearest repair shop and make sure you have a rental. In the case of, next is food poisoning. A way to prevent this is we fully cook our foods and make sure they're up to temperature. So, I mean, this doesn't matter here because literally you guys are vegetarians and it's quite hard to actually get sick from that kind of food.
Untrue. I have to extra wash vegetables. I don't want to get like C. diff. You can get E. coli on vegetables too.
That's fair. But when's the last time you actually made a salad?
Today.
For the family.
Today.
That we all ate.
Yeah, so
Exactly. But temp check your foods. Like steak, it's 145. Chicken, it's 165. Generally with steak, it doesn't as matter as importance with chicken because of development in bacteria. But also, we want to make sure like no one else gets sick from this food. So like if you're serving these things one at a time, someone instantly gets sick, then you want to, well, make sure you're not serving the food anymore and make sure your surfaces are cleaned. Wash your hands. Call 911 in case of you're actually throwing up your food.
or go to urgent care.
Or go to urgent care, whichever one. Make sure. Make sure to drink water when you end up actually get food poisoning. Probiotics also help. Let your stomach stomach rest instead of like trying to eat more food or force food into you if you're sick. Is also helpful. And don't try and rush yourself. Like, don't try to eat like solid foods immediately after you end up getting sick. Yeah, sick and travel. Next is violence in a public place. So, like, I don't know, some scary individual is coming near you, or to prevent that, basically. What we do is we be aware of others. If someone's acting suspicious, we don't stay near them. We try and get away from them. Don't be aggressive to individuals. Basically, don't be a jerk. It's not that hard. And we want to make sure, like, we're not trying not to walk by ourselves. And, well, bringing a weapon, something that can give you an edge on an individual.
If I'm found on the side of the road, hit by a car, I have my road ID. Somebody can call.
You can carry basic medical supplies in order to prevent like serious injuries that could happen. If they do come near you, run away and call for help. It's like 911. Call for the police, basically. because they'll be able to help you. Like, if the person runs away, they'll be able to help, like, find whoever this individual is.
Remember to take good notes of what the person looked like too.
Yes, unless they're wearing a ski mask.
And write it down as quickly as you can before you forget.
Yes.
Okay, vehicle entrapment.
Vehicle trapped in the snow.
Oh, vehicle trapped in a blizzard.
Snow, blizzard, same thing basically in this case. So, like, want to bring, like, if you're able to, bring something that would possibly be able to prevent you getting stuck. So, like, something with 4-wheel drive or something with clearance.
Have supplies in the car.
I'm the one talking here, not you.
Sorry.
You want to make sure, like, not to drive on back roads if they're not clear. I mean, first check if they are, and if they're not clear, then don't go on them. Stay at home. Make sure to stay on main roads because those are typically the most safe. Want to stay stocked on food, gas, nutrition, clothing, because that's going to keep you warm. Like your blanket, towel, sweater, whatever piece of clothing you can actually carry with you or in your car. Drive with a full tank, weird. Full tank and stay on the main road. In the case you do get stuck, call for help. Try to stay warm because the last thing you need is yourself freezing. Make sure to carry like a shovel or equipment if you end up getting stuck and you're able to get yourself out. It's like, I don't know, your basic shovel or
Stop hitting me.
Or a hoe. In case, like, to further what to do after getting trapped, you want to check in your car, make sure like nothing ends up damaged.
Come on, let's get done.
Next is the tornado or hurricane. If we magically have a hurricane in Ohio, I'll be greatly surprised.
They happen in Ohio.
Last one was over 20 years ago.
Untrue.
It was Hurricane Michael.
Untrue.
Yes, it was.
There has been one in Ohio in your lifetime.
Hurricane Michael.
Moving along, because I'd like to get things done.
Moving along. Good way to prevent tornadoes is don't live in an area with tornadoes. But that's not very easy, unless you're incredibly rich. But also to prevent these, you could also have things like a storm shelter, or a place you're able to go to that is actually safe. So like the boiler room, basically any room without any windows or anything that could easily fall off. So probably not this room. Something that's foundationally secure and has strong walls. It's if in case like you're in the middle of somewhere, like in the nature, you can look for a arc or a dune, because tornadoes do not go downhill.
Or an overpass.
Nature's arc.
Yeah.
This is a land bridge. Manage your area near the storm when these things happen. See how close you are. Hide into areas, seek or provide help if necessary in response to these things. And in order to recover from these, you can do things such as clear supplies and help with the aftermath of a tornado. Providing help is a great way.
Okay. Water accident?
Water accident. So I think in this case it was
like an overflowing bathtub leaking into your kitchen ceiling. That's never happened here.
No, actually, it's more of in case you're in a lake and a boat is heading towards you. That kind of water accident.
That kind of water accident. Okay, thanks
Yes.
for clarifying.
So
how do I prevent it?
Make sure you're aware of the body of water you're in. Make sure you're carrying a life vest or something that can hold yourself in the water.
Good thing life vests are legally required to be stored on a boat.
Yes, in the state of Ohio. So something like a Type 3, which is your standard normal life vest. Make sure to bring medical supplies and a buddy system. Oh my god.
Okay.
Buddy system. Make sure you don't swim alone. Make sure you always have someone watching you. Someone who can actually swim and float.
Can you swim?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Sure. Make sure you carry something like a bright object. Things like your flares, a thing of Crisco, and a surface, because Crisco is apparently reflective, and a mirror. In response to when these kind of things happen, seek to help seek to get help, basically like call 911 if you're experiencing it, or provide CPR if the person, if you pulled them out and they were drowning, provide CPR.
But make sure they're breathing first before you give them CPR, because that would be awkward.
I don't know about that.
Next, how do I recover?
Get medical help. Stay away from that said body of water. We don't know what could be possibly happening. They could crash and you have oil leaking in the water, or something much worse.
Okay.
Like you get attacked by an animal.
And if my vehicle is stalled in a desert, what do I do? Or vehicle stalled in desert, what do I do?
Desert, not dessert, because there's only one S.
Darn, it's hoping.
That'd be tasty. No. In the case you end up getting stalled in a desert in Ohio, in order to prevent this, you can drive something that's able to go in the desert, stay on the main roads, stay away from the deserts. Like if you're heading to Seattle, I don't know why you'd be driving through a desert unless you live in the bottom south.
There is desert in Washington State, let me clarify.
You mean a tundra?
No. There's desert in Washington State. Anyway, moving on.
Make sure you have water. Carry something like you're able to communicate with someone, like a phone, because those are kind of needed.
phone home. Okay.
Not that kind of ET phone. Not
I
that.
know. Next.
Make sure you have supplies for a desert accident. So like your basic hand tools, like a wrench.
Reflective material.
Yes, reflective material.
Shelter.
A bottle of Crisco. And such.
Are you suggesting we put Crisco in the boat and now my cars?
Definitely.
That'll be interesting. Okay, next.
Sure, no. In response to these kind of things, you want to stay in your car, insulate yourself, deflate your tires.
Why do I deflate my tires?
Because high pressure on sand does not work well, so you want to have a low pressure.
I don't understand the reasoning behind that. What if a big, like...
dense object on grainy material, it's like blowing on sand. Nothing gonna move.
I see. Only deflate my tires if I'm in the sand, but if I'm on the road, I don't need to, correct? Because there's, like, roads in deserts. Like Death Valley.
No, not like that. I'm talking like you're driving through a desert.
If I went off-roading?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Off-roading in your Durango.
Thanks for that clarification, because I won't be doing that. Next.
Don't expect you to. Next, in recovery these things, stay with your car. Make sure not to leave it. If you are going to leave it, leave a note. Like hey, I've left at this time, going this direction, such. Make sure to make sure, like, if it's like a flat tire, you're able to actually fix tire. Flats, you should be able to try and fix those easily. Not raise hood. Oh my god. Just in the context itself looks bad. Here you go, Mr. Knoll and Mr. Harprink.